Alright, y'all, we're back with some more Dragon Ball Sparking Zero news. Very exciting stuff here. IGN had an interview with the producer, Jun Furutani. This guy is the guy, I guess is what we could say. Anything he says is gold. Anything he says is just fact for regards to what's going to be happening. Because he's the one who kind of, I guess, makes these decisions and things like that, right? Or at least tries to. Now, regarding this, there are a couple things to gloss over, which is the what if fusions. I'm sure that probably is in my title. He talks about, the extension of how far the what if plot lines can go, and I find this really interesting because of the fact that the what ifs, I think, are a really big part of this game with the custom battle customization and the what ifs in story mode. All of that is going to be very, very exciting. So we'll just hop into the little interview right now. But before we continue, let me know what ifs you guys want to see in the game in the comment section below. We'll be very interested to hear your guys' thoughts. Now, first question here is kind of the basic starting question. Can you talk a bit about what it's like creating a story for something like Dragon Ball, something that's so long with many sequels, movies, etc.? How do you focus on what to, cut and lightly gloss over? And Furutani says that, this is about the bottom line, that the game is a battle game. So in the episode battles that you played earlier, talking about the IGN crew playing the episode battles, wanted to focus on which battles highlighted the characters the best in the story. I think a better way of thinking about it is more than fully enjoying the story, we want players to enjoy the best battles in the Dragon Ball franchise, right? Now, again, we didn't really go into the branching maps for the episode battle that they played earlier, but we wanted to focus on battles that could potentially branch out into different things. So that's why, a lot of battles are skipped, and there's only a certain amount of characters you play for each story mode. There's 8 in total. If you didn't know, there was Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Trunks. Then we also have Frieza, Goku Black, and Jiren. So there's going to be a lot of what ifs there. What if this guy won, right? And who was thinking of, like, those kind of battles, right? So that's what they kind of had focus on, and they put extra focus on those branching fights. So it is good to hear that, we're going to get a lot of attention to detail on the uniqueness, right? Because again, a lot of us have known and played the original Dragon Ball, series, or watched the actual series. Of course, I would hope you watch the original series, or at least read the manga, right? We all know Dragon Ball fans do not read. Continuing there, again, if you wanted to play something like, through Z's story, play Kakarot, right? This game is supposed to be something different. Now, next question here. I actually wanted to touch upon those branches. Can you go into a little detail about how significant the branches are? How much of a different game am I playing if I follow one of those branches versus someone who just followed the canonical story? Then Furutani says, it's a hard question because depending on the branch, it could skew in a completely different direction, but certain branches might just go back to the actual canon, right? And right here it gives an example. Is used very early if you were to play the Goku episode battles when you fight Raditz. There's smaller branches, but it takes you back to the canonical route, right? He says some of them are like blimps, kind of take you into a different direction or a very drastically different direction, right? It kind of really depends on which ones you choose. So that'll be interesting, considering the fact that it seems like there could be multiple different directions, even in just Raditz alone, that you can take. And even though some of them may be blips, some of them could change the story in its whole, right? So, like we saw Super Saiyan Goku appearing in the Saiyan Saga, right? That kind of stuff will be a very, very, very drastic change, right? And then they asked this question right here. I gotta ask, through these what if scenarios, is there any chance we could see any new fusion born in this game? Furutani said, very cool question, hard to answer. We want to leave it hidden for now until the game is out. And then he says, we'll leave it at that for now. So, I mean, I think this is not a confirmation, obviously, of what if fusions, but I feel like in a lot of scenarios where it's like he's asked a question like this and he doesn't just say like no or anything like that, that is leaving room for interpretation. Now, what if fusions I think could be really interesting. I mean, we have seen in the past, what if fusions, like just in Dragon Ball, different Dragon Ball games. I mean, there's scenarios where Super Buu absorbed Frieza. There's a scenario where Super Buu absorbed Cell, Vegeta. There's Tiancha, the fusion of Tien and Yamcha, you know, and there's Goku, the fusion of Goku and Hercule. Now you may be thinking, oh, well, that doesn't make sense because a lot of these characters, you know, are actually not like their own standalone character slots. While that is true, there is the addition of costumes. Like, there is a chance that we can get a Goku costume for Hercule, and then he has like a Super Kamehameha Ultimate or something like that, right? There's a chance we get like a costume of, you know, Gotenks Buu or something, and then it's like he's wearing Vegeta's clothing, and then maybe he has like the Gala gun. Buu Piccolo maybe could be a costume for one of those Super Buu forms, right? Like, we don't know the extent of everything. We saw like the final build, quote unquote, but even in that final build, it looked like a lot of things were not really like the GT Goku Spirit Bomb did not look like how it did in the updated trailer, right? It looked like kind of how it did in so there's like there's actually a difference between the English and JB trailer, if you guys didn't know. It looked like how it did in the like unexpressive version of the trailer compared to the more expressive and obviously newer version of how that Spirit Bomb looks. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes and updates still, even to costumes, right? I think there's a lot of costumes that are being left out. A lot of people are kind of brought up the idea of a Goku and Gohan fusion. I mean, would that be impossible to put into a costume potentially, like over Vegito? I would say no, especially if it's just a costume and not them trying to make a brand new character. I think that could be really interesting, right? Because we know Goku did actually initially intend to fuse with Gohan by using the Potara. So, I mean, if stuff like that's in the game, bro, that's going to be absolutely crazy. And I bet you we will be spoiled on that before the game comes out. Unfortunately, right? You know, that's just how things are nowadays. But hopefully we leave that as a surprise and we're able to see that once the game comes out. That'll be absolutely amazing. Now, continuing on from there, the next question is just talking about the little attention to details and things like that, like, you know, such as Mr. Satan using a jetpack. He said, are there any small touches specifically for big fans of Dragon Ball in this game? You know, Fudutani here talks about the different expressions. There's various different Gokus. Depending on the Goku from where in Dragon Ball you fight, the way his clothes ripped off will be completely different. Things like that, right? There's very subtle touches which we have noticed as well. He said that the other thing is like hairstyles, subtle differences that the true Dragon Ball fans will notice. And when it comes to those hairstyles, a big example to me is Turles, actually. So Turles has the 2 extra strands of hair. A lot of us call them like his little devil horns. And, you know, obviously Goku doesn't have that, or Bardock doesn't have that. There's like the little differences there where Turles, you know, in other Dragon Ball games just got Goku's hair model essentially. Or even in the I think it's the Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans, that OVA, he had just Goku's hair. He didn't have the extra strands like he did in his own movie. So, you know, Turles having it here, like, that just, there's a lot of small attention details that they pay attention to, and that's, I think, really, really, really cool. We do absolutely love to see it. Now next, they talk about the encyclopedia mode. What made you want to include this in the game? And I think a lot of people are actually requesting this. He said in the past it may not have been called the encyclopedia mode, but there is a mode where Chi-Chi introduces characters. But we wanted to kind of power that up. So, you know, you can see in the new one, there's Bulma and Videl as well. He said it's something we felt that's something that the players enjoyed back then and would continue to enjoy with the newest Sparking Zero. And again, I saw a lot of people asking for that mode, and people were worried that mode was gone. And it's pretty cool, right? Being able to see the commentary in all the different forums. I mean, we could even see there's a footage from IGN themselves where it's like Chi-Chi was like really scared of like Super Saiyan 3 Goku. She was like, ah! Yeah, that was just also really funny to me. So I think those kind of stuffs, it's great to see that that kind of stuff is still in the game. Then here's one of the more final questions here. I know you guys announced that you're announcing the giant roster, but obviously there's an age where there's DLC to keep games going on. Do you have any DLC plans? And then he says, they do have plans to recreate Dragon Ball Super Superhero and then Daima with DLC, right? We do know that we have the pre-order character as Mini Goku, but of course there's going to be other Dragon Ball Daima characters that'll be there, and of course the huge lack of Dragon Ball Super Superhero. You know, we could see Beast Gohan, we could see Orange Piccolo, we could see all these different kind of forms available as well. Now, you know, this is an interesting question next here, and we might go ahead and wrap it up after these next two. In fact, I think those are the big things right here. I know it's thinking maybe too far ahead, but we wanted to get the thoughts on manga characters. He specifically brings up Granola and Moro. Now, I want to say myself, well, Fudutani's answer kind of explains everything going on there. Are there things on your radar, or would you like to touch upon characters in the manga? He says, at this point, the short answer is it is very difficult to talk about these things due to various situations. I'm sure you understand, and you know, I kind of, if you're in the Dragon Ball fandom on Twitter, you kind of are aware there's this whole like kind of thing where a lot of us are presuming that there's like a lot of legal issues, and unfortunately, you know, there's kind of like an empty hole after Toriyama unfortunately passed away. Especially after that, it's like a thing of, okay, what's happening in the future now, especially in terms of the business aspect. So I think there's going to be a lot of complications there, but we'll see. One day we will get these manga characters. I'm praying, I'm betting on my knees, or Dragon Ball Super 2 will be greenlit, who knows. Now, right now, stages, right? So talk to me about the stages of Sparking Zero. Do you know how many will be in the game, and are there any unique elements? As of now, there's only 12 stages, and I think that does not include, like, you know, the night version of the stage or the daytime version, right? So it's 12 different stages, and then some of them have the different options on top of that. He said the one thing that worries me is that he says they may or may not change in the future, but there's tons of gimmicks per stage, right? For example, we're fighting on planet Manu. If you're able to use a strong move going down from the sky and you happen to hit the planet, you'll see a change where Frieza's fighting Goku towards the end of that saga. This is planet Manu. For some reason, I assume that's Namek. I don't know why it says in the Manu right here in the actual IGN interview. I'm assuming that's planet Namek, right? Makes a lot of sense to me, considering he's talking about Frieza fighting Goku. And then, of course, we've seen the one with the Tenkaichi stage he does mention as well, where if you use a skill that goes into the bleachers, the people who are watching will run away, and then the stage will be expanded. So that is pretty cool. After that, it's not really too many like questions that I feel like is a lot of things there. Well, actually, no, this is important. Crossplay, another question right here. My bad, y'all. Crossplay. They asked about crossplay. Please correct me. Can you talk a little bit about what challenges are regarding crossplay in this game? And he says one of those touchy subjects that's very difficult for him to explain. The short professional answer is there's a difficulty that they have to go through in order to get crossplay to work. As of now, that's where they stand. As of your question for the future, they don't know yet, but yeah. I would say really when it comes to that, we just want to go ahead and keep leaving our feedback that we want. Like crossplay, I think a lot of people aren't really talking about it anymore because it was kind of confirmed a few months ago we wouldn't be seeing crossplay for the game, at least on release. But there's always a way for it to be added in the future. I mean, Bandai games in general don't really push for crossplay, honestly. The most recent Bandai game to actually get crossplay was actually Dragon Ball The Breakers, and a lot of that, you know, when I actually reached out to Iron Cane about this a few months ago. Iron Cane, one of the big breakers, you know, content creators, he was like, hey, you know, really it's just kind of leaving a lot of feedback and like responding to the social media posts. And, you know, when it comes to that, you guys make sure you have to do it in a respectful way. I think that's very important, especially if you're leaving feedback through Bandai's feedback portal. They do end up sharing that, right? So maybe, you know, I'll talk with some people. Well, I say that like I know people, more so like creators in the community on Twitter and stuff like that, and we could try and raise like a kind of like, you know, like a hashtag for something like Sparking Zero crossplay or something like that. Could be interesting, but not, we'll see, right? I think it'll be a good effort, and at the very least it'll let them know that we really want crossplay, at least in terms of like, you know, Bandai Namco and stuff like that, or whatever, you know, the issue there going on. I don't know for sure, dude. I'm just like someone going over the interview, bro. But Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this interview. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff here to go ahead and talk about. I mean, man, yeah, really a lot. We had talked about crossplay, what if fusions, more details about episode battles. We talked about the encyclopedia. There was a lot of awesome things. So let me know which one was your guys' favorites. Let me know, if there's anything that you feel like is missing from the game that you would like to see, even like when it comes to like different stages and things like that, manga characters, etc. That's it for me though. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and peace out.